Luthor recalls how she dreamed of becoming a knight. From the series of memories, the girl is brought back by Poe, and the couple continues their journey in search of the lost city. At this time, Deer comes to the village, and after tying up Raby's parents, he squeezes out a map that should help him find the travelers. Poe tries to ease his way by riding on the leaves, but his stern girlfriend continues to think this is pampering and prefers to agonize over fatigue. Arguing with the Dragon Knight, Luthor remembers again how her father trained her resourcefulness and humility by ordering her to fetch water without touching buckets. The Martins, too, take the easier route. They follow Deer, hoping he will lead them to the bears. At night, the bears argue about what the famous constellations are called. Turning away from Poe and closing her eyes, Luthor remembers how she managed to get water by other people's hands. Looking over the map, the Bearess doesn't understand why they still haven't found the lost city, and Poe has to go back to her strange practices to finally see the oasis. One-eyed Deer spots the Martins, but they manage to negotiate with Colin, and he agrees to lead them in exchange for them helping him capture the bears. The pair encounter a huge stone monster, and Poe realizes that this is what they were looking for. The bears crawl into the giant's jaws and fall into its stomach and end up in town. Luthor finds the whip, but as soon as it falls into her hands, Rukimi the monkey appears nearby. The Guardian informs the bears that they will never leave the city. Anyone who gets in will stay here forever. Long conversations help the friends convince the monkey to help them get out, but she has no intention of giving up the whip, so they have to come up with a new plan by promising Rukimi to take her with them to freedom. Once at the bottom of the abyss, the bears defeat the skeletons, and the Keeper gives them the whip, showing her trust. On the way, the Deer breaks a leg, and the Martins have a chance to steal a map and escape, but Klaus helps the guide. Only Colin realizes that the witches are in front of him and intends to get rid of them. Leather gets out of the monster with a monkey, but Poe is swamped inside. The girlfriend tries to use the whip, which for some reason does not work, and by Rukimi's ominous laughter, the Bearess guesses what the catch is. It turns out that Rukimi is a thief who has used the hero's powers to steal the whip. Fortunately for Poe is a vision in which her father reminds the panda that a gloved finger can handle any difficulty. While Luthor struggles with the Rove and Deer deals with the Martins, Poe breaks the stone. This saves Veruca. The glove is carried along with the Martin to the finger, and Poe guesses that this is how they can catch the thieves. Veruca tries to use her magical powers, but nothing works. The Martins meet Changpu, a girl from a secret village in the forest. Veruca is going to visit the settlement to find her brother, a doctor. Luthor teaches Poe knight techniques, but the panda habitually uses a belly thrust, believing it to be the most reliable. Changpu brings travelers to his village, and it turns out that only ladies live there. Upon learning that they will have to treat the boy, the villagers are not even outraged. They've been waiting for this chance for years. The Martins are treated to a strange drink that leaves them weak, and Veruca understands what the village elder was talking about. A harvest on today's table will be them. Luthor cannot change Poe's mind. The panda does not want to learn anything new. This makes Clink's hands sink. She's been waiting many years for an opportunity to take revenge on the Martins, and nothing comes of it. Klaus is taken away for dinner, and Veruca is tied tightly to the table and left for dessert. This makes the Martin remember how she was once imprisoned and how the moon helped her escape. And now the Martin manages to use her magical powers and revive the flower, which pulls her out of the dungeon and helps to free her brother. But this is not enough for Veruca, and she plans to destroy the village with the help of the glove, which immediately attracts her finger, along with Poe and Luthor. Blade manages to take the magical artifact away from the thief. Now the Bearess can safely arrest the fugitives and avenge her brother's death. The Emperor summons Mr. Ping and demands that he lure his son to the palace. But the goose refuses to do so, warning that he is even willing to give his life. There is good news for the Emperor. A certain pesky monkey wants to sell him a whip. Luthor thanks Poe for his mission. Their mission is accomplished, and everyone can go their separate ways. But the panda finds a way not to part. He offers to escort her friend to China and help her return the whip. Rukimi offers the Emperor the whip. True, she wants at least half of the entire Chinese treasury for it, which greatly amuses the ruler. But when the Emperor sees how the artifact works, his mood changes and he is ready to discuss the deal. A company of bears with prisoners comes to the boat station, but no one wants to work with the former dragon warrior. Only Rooster is willing to help the fugitive and rents him a tiny boat on which the travelers sail on. Poe chooses the shortest route to China. At least he assures Luthor of that. But along the way, the travelers run into a traffic jam. The Moon Festival has crowded many boats on the river. Blade suggests they continue on foot, but Poe is confident that if they wait it out, they'll get there faster by boat. The panda can't get past the festivities, and he stops time and again at the entertaining docks and food tents. The Martins take advantage of this. They attract the rhino's attention. Much time is lost by the friends fighting the guards, and meanwhile the moon rises, which Veruca has been waiting for. Tired of the complications, Luthra again tells Poe that they are not friends and asks him to leave. It will be much easier for her to get to China without a troublesome mate. But while the pair are discussing the matter, the Martin uses magic and disarms the bears and takes the gauntlet and hides in the woods with her brother. The Martin tells Poe that they will now go to the Emperor. The ruler himself, meanwhile, tries to trick Rukimi by taking the whip from her without payment, but the thief proves to be no fool and fights off the rhinos. While the monkey is having fun in the palace, Martins and bears also come upstairs. The Emperor still manages to take the whip by throwing Rukimi into the trap, and he is now ready to hunt the Dragon Master. The ruler is glad that the fugitive has come to him himself, but Poe tries to tell him what he is really here for. He goes on and on about comic books, Martins, and artifacts. The Emperor does not believe the strange story even after Poe introduces his friend, and his doubts are confirmed by the stag. Colin introduces himself as a Knight of England and reports that he was sent by the Queen to arrest Luther. Before the stag takes the bear away, she manages to confess to her friend that she has been lying to him all along. Poe, too, finds himself in the dungeon, and in the next cell he spots his father. The boy is ashamed to admit that he never got his title of Dragon Master back. Luthra tells Colin about the Gauntlet, and the Martins and Deer realizes that he had a chance to catch the real criminals. Rukimi offers to help the panda and the goose, but the old monkey is only willing to get the prisoners out on the condition that she gets the whip again. Poe agrees, and the company escapes from the cells. Luthra, too, tries to free himself and fights the deer with his own antlers. The fight turns out to be very serious, but the bearess manages to defeat her opponent, and after tying him to a tree, she returns to the palace. Just now, the Martins' brawl is in full swing. Using the gauntlet, the bandits were stronger than the whip and made the Emperor tremble with fear. Fired by the ceremonies, Pickle and Mr. Ping give the Martins a run-in, and Rukimi manages to steal the whip and escape, while all attention is now on her. But the Emperor has no intention of giving up. He rushes off in pursuit, leaving the others to trash his palace. Realizing she can't handle the panda, Veruca uses a glove and everything lights up green. The Martins escape, and he and the monkey begin a race, with the winner getting the whip. Realizing that he is in for a real treat, the Emperor calls for help from the Dragon Master. But Poe, meanwhile, sits with his head down, realizing that he has lost the battle and that he cannot regain the title. When Luthra visits her friend, Mr. Ping persecutes the girl, believing that she is to blame for what happened. The bear herself thinks so. She tells her friend that she went to the scam to avenge her brother. As a child, she followed him without permission, but this only distracted the bear from the fight, and the Martins finished him off. After listening to her friend, Poe urges her to get up and finish where she started, to finally get even with the Martins. The lizard guard tries to stop the panda, but he doesn't even argue with his old buddy and just takes him along in pursuit of the criminals. The company catches up with Veruca and Klaus on the sled, but to the outlaws' luck, the moon enters and a magical gift comes to her aid, which throws the sled bears and the Emperor off the track. Poe manages to intercept the whip, but the kinsmen are not planning to leave without it. It turns out that if you collect all 4 artifacts, the army of monsters will rise, and the Martins want to take over the world. The bears have a long fight with the Martins, but the gauntlet helps the villains to gain the upper hand. They seize the whip, and now they have even more power in their hands. Luthra is not ready to give up, and she goes up against Veruca and Klaus empty-handed and naturally suffers a defeat. The Martins move to the ship, intending to leave the defeated and go in search of the remaining attributes. Blade tries to hold on to the ship, risking his life, but Poe shuts his girlfriend off at knife point, missing the ship with the fugitives. After hugging the panda, Luthra finally calls him her friend. Mr. Ping calls his son home, but Poe realizes that more adventures await them, especially since Rukimi was able to swap the whip and they will not set out empty-handed. The goose has no choice but to let the Dragon Knight go, but he intends to go with his son to see the world.